Hello, Trish the Gong Gardener. This is a hybrid tea rose and I'm going to show you how to do a winter prune. So what I do is I look down at the base and I check how many main growth stems there are, and on this one there's 5, and out of that I choose which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm going to prune off. So what I do is I look at it overall and then I decide, like, I will take this whole one off and I'll take maybe this one off, but when I get round there I'll have a look at it. But what I like to do is I like to work on a section at a time. So I'll work on this one. So if you come in closer here, Jason, you'll see that part of pruning is cutting off rubbing branches, and these two are rubbing together. So that's got to be part of the consideration. So you choose which one to keep, and I've decided to get rid of this one. So what I do there is I'm just going to prune off this whole lot here. So if you look closer, you'll see there's a couple of little dead twigs. So we take those off, and then we look at where we're going to prune it along here. So I'm going to prune it just here because there's an outward pointing bud just there pointing this way coming out. So that's all right for that one. Now then I'm going to go the next one. So I'm going to take, I've decided to take this whole side off. So I'm going to take it off here. There's no real great thick branches, so that's why I've decided that. So I just get that out of my way. Then I'm going to prune this stump. So don't prune right down into where the other branch meets, just do it a little bit upwards of that. Use a very sharp saw, a good saw, and there you go. Now I'm going to look at this one. It's got lots of nice little branches on it. It's got some rubbing ones here, so I've got to consider which one I'm going to remove. So I'll decide right now I'm going to remove that one. So I cut it just that way there. And I leave a little stump on there. You don't cut right into the stem of the plant. And from there I decide what I'm going to keep. So because this one hasn't got much to go on it, it's a bit twiggy, I'm going to prune that one off. So I have to go around the other side to do that. I'm removing that branch and leaving a little collar, and then I'm going to take off this whole branch here. So I'm just getting these out of the way so I can do it. Then I'm going to saw that off there. So that's that branch almost done. So I've just got to look at these sort of things. So take that off, and then we're going to look at this branch here. So I'm just going to remove that there because that's an outward pointing bud. There we go. I'm going to take that one off there because it's growing inwards, and even though it's nice and healthy, it's compromising the rest of the plant, so remove that one out. Now, take off these little twiggy bits. Now we've got this one, this whole side, so I'll take off any inward growing, and that one's a bit, and then there's these ones here that aren't too bad, so over, so we'll remove it. And this one here is going to grow out that way, so we'll take that off there. So that's that one done. That one's twigging. I'm going to remove that. This one's not too bad. It's got a bud going outwards. And then I'm going to take it to this bud here, which is a bit taller but growing outwards. And then we've got our last little bit to do. So this is the last main cane. So take off all the twiggies first. And that one's a bit spindly too. Remove that. I'm going to take this one off. So to do that, I'll get my loppers. Now when I cut it, Jason, can you come in here? I'll take my glove off so I can point properly. Okay, so if you come in here, I'm going to cut it across there, straight across, but I'm not going to cut too far down because see that bit of damage there? We don't want to cut that close. So we just want to leave a little bit of a knob and cut it there. So I'm going to use my loppers for that, very carefully. So, see how I left a little knob on there? I didn't cut too far down, like you don't want to cut down there, you just want to cut there. So now I'm going to prune the branches off that. If I can find my secateurs. I'm going to prune this one here. So what I'm doing is I'm going straight across to make the smallest wound. So not at an angle and about 6mm above that node. Then I'm going to do this one and I want to find a bud. Yes, there's one. It just needs to be, it doesn't even have to have a bud on it. It can have a scar because underneath that scar, can you see that? Is a bud. So then you chop it there. Then this one the same. There. And then this one, I want a bud facing this way. And there's not one there, and there's one down here. So then I chop it there. So there's a bud just there. And that one's done. So some of it I didn't prune too low because this is quite a big garden. And if you prune it too low, you end up with less flowers because you've got less buds to shoot. And if you prune it a bit higher, you end up with more flowers, but the rose bush itself ends up a bit shorter. So this rose has only been in 1 year, so it's probably a 2 to 3 year old rose. So all I need to do to this rose is cut out all the original growth. So that's just this spindly bit, and these taller canes, because they're fairly new, I'm going to prune them around this high each. So this is an easy one to do. So what you do is you just take everything out of the way so you can easily prune it. So that's just ease of access. And then prune that one off there, and prune that one off there. Then with these taller canes, because they're fairly fresh growth, don't want to go down too hard, but we're going to go an outward pointing bud. So that would be there. rose is done. That was an easy one. I want to show you also the scenario for this type of rose. It was a potted rose and it was planted only about 4 weeks ago. So it's winter. And what I would do with this is not prune it hard at all. Take off the buds. There's a small bud there. Take those off, but don't remove the stems or the foliage. Don't do a winter prune on it, because you need as much as of this green growth as possible, because this green growth allows photosynthesis, and you've got to imagine that it's doing the work below the ground, establishing the roots. So you can use seaweed extract at this time to establish the roots further, but all I'd like to do is prune off the buds. There's a small bud there, so I can put its energy more into the foliage and the stems. Remove the dead bits, but yes, very importantly, leave on the green stems. You can see here I have a clematis which is growing pretty well for winter, and I'm going to let that grow up the rose. So what I've done there is I've taken the bottom off the pot and planted it that way because they like good drainage. So I'll show that in a video once that's established. And this plant too, which is, it's Pope John Paul, which is a really good rose. Once that's established, I'll show you in another video further down the track. So this is how I'm going to prune this rose, which is not a great specimen, but it should be okay. So see how I'm just taking off these little dead bits. I'm not going to cut back any of the stems like I said. I'm going to take off the flower and just take off that flower head as well, which hasn't developed. So that's gone. Then I'm going to go down here, remove this little dead bit of stem. And can you see this bit of dead stem here? That's died back. And there's another bit over here. You can see the plant has closed it off, so I'm not really worried about those, and I don't want to cut it, so I'll just leave them. The plant has compartmentalized here, so it doesn't go further down, so I'll leave those. So that's all I want to do to this rose at this time, because I want it to, like I said, I want it to establish the roots. So I'll keep it well watered, and this has got manure in it, this mulch, and that'll help the roots along. And also I'll use seaweed extract to promote root growth. Now, the rose's energy can be increased by correct pruning, watering, fertilising and protecting from wounds, including pruning wounds. So to correctly prune, we prune straight across about 6 millimetre up, or even a little further, than the node. So that's the node. So the way we do it is we don't use the tip of the secateurs. We go further in because there's more leverage that way. Now this is where that's a correct prune. Back in the day, the received wisdom was to cut at an angle. Today, we realise it's best to have the cut with the least surface area. Hence why we cut perpendicular to the way the stem is going. The stem seals over in 30 seconds. So I also want to show you also what happens if you come up with a bud that's got 2 shoots. So you can knock one of those shoots off, or you can prune above a different shoot. So with these double shoots, they both shoot and they take energy off each other and they don't result to anything. So you're best off not pruning to those. So that's all I wanted to tell you today. And I hope you enjoyed the videos and found them useful. So subscribe to my channel if you like, and I'll see you another time. Bye. Thank you.